Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking a look at the brand new Tier 7 German light heavy, the light cruiser, the Mainz. So, first of all, I just want to start off by saying this is the first campaign ship that I have not been given through the CC program because I am no longer a CC. What does this mean for the channel? It means that if you guys want to continue to see videos like this, Day 1 drops of campaign ships, I need you guys to make sure these videos do really well. So that means punch the like button for me, share the videos to your friends, and comment down below. All of these things help these videos get pushed by YouTube, so make sure that that helps. So thank you guys in advance. But yeah, let's get right into it. We're using Karl von Muller as our commander. We have Francesco Membelli, and we have Nikolai Kuznetsov as our inspirations. We are running Beyond Range, Igniter, Punch Through, and Fixated as our perks, with the legendary perk fully packed. Alright, now, let's look at our equipment. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, we're running Steering Gears Mod 2, Steering Gears Mod 3, and we are running the Main Battery Mod 3. Okay, now, we have the sonar equipped, we have the plane, and obviously the heels. We're running the Alpha Test flag, and we're running the Type 9 camo. It comes with the ship. Stats: survivability, 42,500 hit points with a 22% torpedo damage reduction. That's almost as good as an Iowa in terms of torpedo damage reduction. So, that's pretty freaking good. I mean, it's not good for a battleship, but it's pretty freaking good for a cruiser. It's right there in line with, I think, the Japanese heavy cruisers at top tier. Anyway, artillery. We have 150 millimeter 60 caliber SKC-25s. You have 12 of them that reach out to 18.2 kilometers. They reload in just 5 seconds with this build, and the 180-degree turn time is 27.2 seconds. HE shell maximum damage is 1700 with an 11% chance to set fires. AP shell maximum damage is 4212, which is also pretty solid. Secondary armament, 105 millimeter 65 caliber Doppel C-31s. We'll go with that. We got 12 of those that reach out to 5.8 kilometers, reloading in just 3.3 seconds. And they do 1200 maximum damage with an 8% chance to set fires. Torpedoes. You have 533 millimeter Veerling torpedoes. You have 16 of those. 2 quad launchers on either side of the ship. They reload in 90 seconds, and they do a maximum of 13,700 damage. They're pretty average detectability at 1.3 kilometers. They only have 6 kilometer torpedo range, but they are 64 knots, so not too shabby in that department. AA defense. 20 millimeter Flak Veerling 38s. You have 48 of those, doing 72 damage per second, reaching out to 2 kilometers. Then you have the 37 millimeter Flak LM42s that you have 36 of, that do 185 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. And you have 105 millimeter L65 Doppel C-31 dual-purpose secondaries that you have 12 of, that do 100 damage per second and reach out to 4.5 kilometers. Maneuverability, maximum speed is 33.3 knots. With a 720 meter turning circle and a 5.1 second rudder shift with this build. The turning circle itself, not the greatest, but we do have a decent rudder shift, so you can kind of make that work. Though more often than not, you're going to want to have this thing, behind an island if you can. If you are out in the open trying to do the old kitey cruiser thing, more power to you. But this thing really does excel when it's hidden, when it's not the center of attention, and we're going to showcase that in the video coming up. Concealment. Detectability by sea is 13.1, so not particularly amazing, but we're not running the concealment mod, so we expect some of that. Detectability by air is 8.2. Guaranteed detectability is 2 kilometers, and detectability while firing in smoke is 7 kilometers. Armor. We have 40 millimeter icebreaker bow, I think is what they call it, but either way, it's 40 millimeter armor belt all the way up to the nose. Okay, so anything in the game currently cannot overmatch this belt armor at the bow. However, the rest of the armor on the bow is 25 millimeters. That's the deck armor, dummy. There you go. The fore end and aft end armor is 25 millimeters. Okay, so what does that mean? That means anything with 15-inch guns and above overmatches, which is pretty much every battleship at that tier. Even the Siegfried has 15-inch guns, and then any of the super cruisers that are in the game, the Alaska, the friggin' Stalingrad, those sorts of things. Odin also does not overmatch, actually, because it's only 305. Actually, the super cruisers shouldn't overmatch, come to think of it. 25 millimeters. Let's just double check. I want to say this correctly. So 25 times 14.3, 357 millimeters. So yeah, you need 357.5 and above. So basically, what is that? 14-inch guns and above? No, because 14-inch guns are 356s. So yeah, basically you have to have 15-inch guns and above. Okay, so anything less than 15-inch guns, you're fine. Okay, you can battle tank that all day. Now, let's get rid of that and look at the belt armor and such. Now, first of all, you can see we do have some turtleback armor. Not the greatest turtleback armor in the world, but it does get the job done. Up close and personal versus small arms, you can get away with some things. Don't recommend it. Generally speaking, you want to use the belt armor as best you can, which, come to think of it, I didn't show. So we have 25 millimeters up high. Again, that just means that you're not going to be overmatched by anything unless it's 15 inches and above. And then you have an 80 millimeter belt. So it does have a decent belt. If you can get people to shoot at the belt, you can bounce quite a bit when you're angled well. So keep that in mind. Comes in real handy when you're closing, like when you come out from behind an island to ambush some battleships, for instance, which is something that all the German cruisers are very good at. Vital ship part armor. As you can see, we've got some Citadel. And the Citadel, like I said, isn't the hardest thing. Like, it's not the easiest thing to hit in the world, but it is possible. It is slightly raised, so you can get some Citadels on this thing, even though it is technically turtleback. Just like the Hipper, just like the Prinz Eugen. If they go broadside, you're probably going to get a Citadel on them. Okay, especially if you've got big enough guns. Even the Balti does not struggle to Citadel a German cruiser or heavy cruiser or this thing broadside on. So keep that in mind. Tough, above average base hit point rating. Okay, extended sonar. That 5.6 kilometer sonar we didn't actually talk about is actually fairly amazing. You gotta love that. But it has modest guns. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the modest guns. It has 150 or 152? I forget. It's 150 millimeter guns. So what does that mean? So you take 150 millimeters and you divide that by 4 because the Germans get special HE, and that means that your armor or your high explosive is capable of penetrating 37.5 millimeters of armor, which is more than pretty much every battleship in the game. And so pretty much every time your HE shells find a home, they're going to be doing damage. You do not need equilibrium of power, which is why the Germans don't have equilibrium of power, but even if you did, you don't need it, because these guns are fully capable, because unlike other nations who have the, you divide the gun caliber by 6 to figure out the HE penetration, the Germans are one, and I want to say it's either British or Japanese, one of the others, get quarter penetration on their HE, which means that it is absolutely ridiculously good HE. So you've got fast firing guns, you've got great HE, you've got amazing AP too. So don't sleep on the AP. We're going to showcase plenty of AP in this one too. So do not sleep on this ship's AP. You will regret it. Battleships, I'm talking to you. You go broadside to this thing, it will chew you apart and spit you out before you realize what happened to you. Think of this thing like a Cleveland in terms of AP, okay? It's not quite got as good a penetration angles as the Americans, but it still will chew you up and will chew and chunk your superstructure as well. So keep that in mind. Do not sleep on the AP of this ship. Mainz. The project of a cruiser with 150 millimeter guns, Cruiser K, which was developed in the mid-1930s on the basis of the Admiral Hipper class ships. Shortly after the construction of the latter began, she combined the rapid-fire battery of light cruisers with the survivability of heavy ones. She was designed in 1936, but obviously never built. Now, let's take a look at this bad boy. Now, honestly, I prefer this over the Hipper or the Prinz Eugen, period. I don't know. I don't want to hear anybody arguing. Like, it is 100% better in every way. I will take this over the Hipper or the Prinz Eugen every day of the week, period. And that goes for the Weimar as well. I'll take the Weimar over the Hipper or the Prinz Eugen any day of the week. But, yeah, these things are incredibly powerful. You knew it was coming. I mean, we had the Weimar. You knew this was coming. I said when the Weimar came out that that thing was OP as crap. This thing is also very, very nasty. Now, this thing gets touched a lot easier, in my opinion, than the Weimar. Because it's not quite as agile and it's not as sneaky. So you got to keep that in mind. So this thing, I think, is easier to take out than the Weimar. But if left unchecked, this thing will absolutely run rampant over your team. So let's take a look at her. I mean, what's not to like? It is a German cruiser. It's the heavy cruiser hull that we all know and love. It's a good-looking ship. Like, let's not make any qualms about it. It's a good-looking ship. It's very modern-looking. I love those bubble turrets on the sides too. Those are fantastic on the German ships. But it's just a good-looking ship. There's no other way around it. It's a solid, beautiful, and deadly little monster. So, with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Sleeping Giant, and this is I want to say it's my third match in this ship. And I'll be real honest, man, like I said with the Weimar, this thing is incredibly powerful. That doesn't mean that this thing is overpowered as the Weimar, because like I said, I think this thing is slightly easier to take out than the Weimar is. The Weimar just tends to get away with too much. This, not so much, but this thing is as powerful as Weimar, just not quite as easy to get away with things. We're going to push over to the right, get behind this island to my right. Now, a lot of people don't use this island very well. We're going to showcase just how nasty this little bugger can be when it gets to use the island. Now, I went into this game fully assuming that there was going to be a stalemate on this side. And that is why I chose to go behind this island and sit here and try to farm damage. Because, honestly, this side gets screwed in terms of, like, islands to use as cover so you can farm. Like, the other side gets the perfect island that you can sit behind, and it really is only countered by people on the left side of our current spawn. You see those guys that spawned over there just south of A on the map? Those are the guys that counter that island that I'm talking about. You guys all know the island. It's literally directly north of C, right there in the middle of the map. So, like, the only people that counter that island perfectly are those people at Alpha on the other side. And if they don't try to counter it, the people that can sit behind this island can absolutely run rampant on our team over here. Now, unfortunately, our team makes an early decision to run away. This may or may not end up being a good decision, but one thing's for sure, it's certainly going to leave me out to dry. And it's going to leave me to do a heck of a lot more than I was hoping, or like what I was bargained for. So, we're going to push, and now you can see it's a really tall island. Very few ships can use this island as you know, a firing platform. This one is one of them, but you have to come all the way to the edge, and everything that you're shooting needs to be at range. And then you've got an absolutely beautiful spot to shoot and do some serious damage to the enemy team. Now remember, like I said, this thing has the quarter pin because it's German, and it has ridiculous HE. As we haven't landed a shot yet, we've got to get our aim down. That's one of the things that you'll see early in reviews of ships, is that we do struggle a little bit. But we get 1,300 damage with HE and set of fire there. The King George and the Vanguard are both here, so I go ahead, switch my shots over to the Vanguard to see if I can't get him on fire. The King George is actually pushing in a little too close. I kind of want to continue to shoot him, but at the same time, I can't really shoot him because of the island. So I'm focusing the Vanguard down. We do have the fire on the King George, but I'm fairly confident at this point that the King George put the fire out. So we got the plane in the air to help us continue to spot here, and the Vanguard is just making himself an easy target. Obviously, I'm not getting the best aim here. Once I get my aim down, then we're going to start stacking up the damage, and you'll see 6 penetrations there on the superstructure of the Vanguard. No fires yet, But we get a couple penetrations at the bow. He's starting to try to dodge. He realizes he has made mistakes in his life, but you can see it doesn't take very long to start stacking up damage when you get good hits. And good hits we are as we get over 4,000 damage in that salvo, and still haven't set a fire on this man. But we launched some armor piercing at him while he's broadside, and you can see that the armor piercing is no freaking joke either. That armor piercing is absolutely punching this man. We switch back to the HE as he starts to turn away, and then we look back at shooting at the King George. Now, Vanguard gets finally set on fire, and so we continue to try to focus him down as we can't shoot at the King George currently. And you'll see that we actually get a second fire, I think in this salvo that lands. Nope, never mind. Maybe it's the next salvo that lands. We do get a second fire on this Vanguard, and that's going to continue to tick for a while. And then I see the Peter Bag, and I was considering shooting at him, but he disappears too quickly, which is unfortunate, but you expect it. But you can see on the map that there's literally only one battleship and me left over here. That's it. And look how many enemy ships are over here. We've got our work cut out for us, folks. And we are also going to have some rude awakenings coming. Now, Peter Bag realizes that he needs to push up, and he does. He starts pushing. The King George is also pushing out here. This is a situation that you don't necessarily want to find yourself in. However, the battleship, I got to give credit where credit is due. The battleship that sticks with me on this side is absolutely instrumental in helping. He has the most beautiful crossfire ever. He's using the island as cover to protect him from the majority of the enemies, and he's got beautiful crossfires on these guys that are coming after me. Now, King George gives me a broadside look here, and so I start loading the armor piercing. And we're going to be able to chunk this man with armor piercing easily. Peter Bag is starting to hit us with the HE. Not that big of a threat, honestly, at the end of the day. But you can see I'm trying to use the island to stay hidden. My teammates are keeping these guys spotted, and I'm going to try to continue to pound these guys. Now, he starts to bow tank us, so we switch back to the HE. And that's one thing you have to learn in these cruisers is when to use HE, when to use AP. Basically, if they're broadside, use AP. If they're bow in or angled, use the HE and try to burn them down. Now, obviously, we get spotted here by the Peter Bag, which is not preferable, but the King George has small guns. And remember, it takes 15-inch guns and above to overmatch us. So we can sit here and bow tank both of these guys, no problem. As the King George just gets smashed by that battleship. Now that battleship's retreating pretty heavily. He's all the way back behind the island. I'd make a huge mistake here using the freaking damage control to knock or to get my torpedo tube back. But King George opens himself up. We get a nice armor piercing shot on him. And this Peter Bag, to his credit, is not as dumb as he looks at the current state. Like, this guy actually appears to have the idea that he knows that if he stays broadside to me, it's not going to end well for him because I am going to chew him up with the armor piercing. But he's going to do a pretty solid job of avoiding, and I'm going to stick with the armor piercing a little too much. I should have definitely switched to the HE sooner. He knocks out one of my turrets, and this is what I'm talking about. We get touched over that island. I was not expecting that at all. I don't know who was able to lob that island, but I'm guessing it was Alabama because he absolutely smacked us. He got those shots over that island so well, and definitely caught me off guard. So I have to pull up to use the island as cover as best I can. And because we wasted that damage we couldn't take advantage of this guy being broadside at close range. And then he turns away, and we're not going to be able to do it. As we take another big hit, and we lose a torp tube to, I'm assuming, that Alabama out there. Now you can see I'm requesting support from my team. My team has the AE cap secure. They're moving into Bravo. They should start to have some crossfires on these guys. Now obviously we have the Peter Bag's torpedoes spotted. Big surprise. He doesn't have the range to reach us. We're going to be in reverse to avoid them too, so he's definitely not going to be able to reach us. Now we have 6,800 health currently. If this Peter Bag forced the issue, he could probably kill me. Like, for real. But he's not going to force the issue. He's retreating. And that's going to allow me to absolutely neuter his team. Now, we're currently at 85,000 damage. We've had a solid game, but we haven't had that game that would be, you know, showcase worthy. However, look at the positioning of the enemy team right now. They are caught in one hell of a crossfire. And we are going to take full advantage of that crossfire. and we are going to 100% neuter this enemy team right here. Miyoko is reversing around the island. He's probably like, okay, I'll just break contact, I'll be fine. Wrong, Sunshine. You got me to worry about, and you've got nothing that you can do about it. We shoot armor piercing initially. He is angled enough that we're going to be able to get some penetrations there. We get 1800 and knock out one of his turrets, but then we just switch to the HE because it's a heavy cruiser, and I don't want to take any chances at these angles of bouncing, and I know that he doesn't have the armor to shatter my HE shells. So we're just going to chunk him for damage and set him on fire and eventually get the kill. And you can see we're utilizing this island very well for the inside game here. This is what I'm talking about. The edges of this island are very nasty. If you push up too far, you're going to have a bad time. And we're just going to showcase the AP potential of this ship. Watch this. This Vanguard is screwed. He's angled, but watch how much damage we're going to get. He can't see us. He has no way of spotting us. And so we're going to sit behind the island, and we're going to chunk this man for like 6,000 to 8,000 damage a salvo. Just nasty, nasty salvos of AP into that side superstructure, upper side plating, and just chunk the man. Like, there's nothing he can do. Just like that, we're up to 113,000 damage, and we're just going to continue to chunk him. He can't see us, he's frustrated, he's shooting at nothing, and he's hitting nothing. And here we are, just smashing him. Every 5 seconds, we are smashing this man for like 6,000 damage. Just wrecking him. Nothing he can do. There's our high caliber, and just like that, we go from 85,000 damage to 135,000 damage, which is ridiculous. That's the potential of these ships. If you screw up, you give these things a broadside, and they have AP loaded, you're done. You're done. I don't care what ship you're in. If you're in a battleship, you don't have the time to get yourself righted before you get murdered. That is just how this ship is going to do. So, guys, make these things priority targets. If you get an opportunity to remove one of these cruisers, do it. Just like the Cleveland. Alright, if you get an opportunity to remove one of these light cruisers that have all of the DPM in the world, you have to take it. You cannot play with these things. They will make you regret it as the Peter bag comes around the corner and we get our revenge. Our sweet revenge. And we are officially looking for the cherry on top of the game, the Kraken. We've had a great game. We've had a fun game. We've held our side against all odds. The battleship in the back doing everything in his power to help us hold this side. And we are Kraken hunting. Are we going to be able to pull it off? Will we make meta proud? That is the question. And we have the opportunity, but unfortunately for us, my aim sucks. As this guy turns in and avoids all of our shells up to this point. And then when we do finally hit him, somebody else hits him, and they're going to be able to finish him off. Unfortunate. Missed out on our Kraken opportunity. Meta shed a tear for us. Appreciate you, dude. But 139,000 damage done, high caliber, using the AP and the HE. Two of us were Kraken hunting in that one, but he yoinked my kill, so he wouldn't have gotten the Kraken anyway. But, yeah, I say yoinked my kill. He got as much damage as I did on that guy. But 139,000 damage, high cal, showing the ship. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please make sure to punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.